Are we looking at the big collapse of the microblogging giant site Twitter? What's happening across the world has come as an alarming development across this November, just days since Elon Musk has taken over Twitter and has constantly been taking some very controversial decisions. The most latest has been a hardcore ultimatum to the employees of Twitter. This, remember, we are being told that because of that ultimatum that has come, that either work long hours or be ready to leave with a severance pay. Employees have started to quit the social media giant website. We're also being told that Democrat senators are now accusing Elon Musk in the United States of America of undermining a website like Twitter. This, remember, is a global website. It's used by personalities and politicians and journalists. Anyone in public sphere. It has made people accessible to each other. It has even brought down governments to a level, and that's the quality and that's the ability that Twitter website had. But the internal application used by Twitter is slowing down. That is what is being reflected. We are going to get you more details on that. I want to quickly bring in my colleagues as well. Our senior editor from Business Today, Abha Bakaya, joining me also. Aishwarya Paliwal joining me in this morning telecast. Abha, first to you. Now, how big is this? What does this mean? Because there have been a lot of alarming signals, but it died down. It appeared all is well. But could this be of serious concern for Twitter and for Musk?
Let's see how this plays out. Let's definitely concern. I mean, the FTC now saying that Twitter could be failing to abide by a May 2022 settlement with the US regulator, in which Twitter had actually said that they would improve its privacy practices, place responsibility on people who held certain positions. Remember, all that conversation when Musk was taking over Twitter was alluding to the fact that at what stage would there be some kind of clash with the regulator? How would Twitter implement its policies? We all know that big tech has a real, burden when it comes to really abiding by some of these compliance norms. The FTC last week said it was tracking recent developments in Twitter with deep concern and that no CEO or company is above the law. They've also actually gone out and actually said that, saying that they have to follow decrees and proper practices. So let's take you through what's happened right now. 7 Democrat senators have sent a letter now to the Federal Trade Commission warning that Twitter now under Musk was acting in disregard of users and urging the agency to investigate that breach of consent. So they're looking at this. The lawmakers include, several of the key names as well. Elizabeth Warren, Richard Blumenthal, for instance, asking the agency now to actually consider enforcement actions against the company as well and against individuals where appropriate. Musk has just taken Twitter. We know how he's asked the CEO to exit. Parag Agrawal was, asked to leave. A whole spate of firing has taken place. On top of that, some extreme measures in terms of employees, the time at work, the intensity of work that's expected. So it's a huge upheaval at Twitter right now. And this is really the latest in a series of those events. And, quite a few alarming steps that he's also been noted to take when it comes to the safety of the platform, including certain features, of course, and these are despite clear warnings that some of these would lead to more fraud, scams, impersonations, and so forth when it comes to the social
It's been a controversial taking over that Musk has done. Abba, please stay on with me because I want our viewers to look at the visual closely. There has been a projection on the Twitter building that appears to be directly, implicitly insulting Elon Musk. Has it been done by one of the employees? Objectionable words being used against Musk, specifically after he gave an ultimatum to the employees that by Thursday, you tell us, are you willing to work long hours with hardcore ability, or you're going to then leave the organization with a 3-month severance pay? This appears to have upset a lot of employees across the world, but there's been a projection on the building very clearly targeting Musk. And of course, there will be investigation on who did it, but shows that many, many employees are quitting and are upset. Aishwarya Paliwal also continues to be with us now. Aishwarya, so it is primarily the employee anger that's surfacing. Just too many sudden changes for a website at the level of Twitter to be facing this.
Well, definitely, Pooja, it looks like for Elon Musk, it is one lawsuit after the other. Now, those employees who were special, those employees have now gone ahead and filed a suit because they believe that the kind of conditions that Elon Musk is putting down is forcing them to quit. Now, some of the employees were fired by Elon Musk. The remaining are now saying that the kind of conditions he's putting down, especially those who are specially abled, are the ones who have gone ahead and filed a lawsuit. So we will see Elon Musk having to fight all those things. It definitely looks like, Pooja, in the coming months, we will see Twitter as a space being extremely chaotic, because at the moment it looks like Elon Musk does not have a solid plan of knowing where he wants to take Twitter in the future. Pooja.
And Ishwara, stay on with me. I just want to bring in Abha Bagaya again. Abha, what does this mean that the internal application is closing down? The top designers appear to be leaving. This, because this is going to be, they are the ones who are making it what Twitter is, specifically the Twitter Blue, the new feature that had come up. So is this internal designer level quitting that is taking place? Are they the ones who are angry? Because it appears many of them have been logged out.
This is going to go one of two ways. Either Elon Musk, and he's already talked about how he's now feeling completely burnt out despite, managing several companies, and of course, the big one being Tesla. But Twitter is something, it's called the white elephant that he's taken on. That's how people are referring to it. It's going to be one of two ways. Either he's going to work his magic and make this turn around, or it's really going to be one that sinks. We already know what's happening in the overall tech landscape. When it comes to the US, we've seen mega layoffs across the board. We have seen earnings that have raised serious questions about whether or not these companies can actually improve their revenues over time. Twitter was already suffering in terms of not really being able to bring in those ad revenues. They're now already facing a proposed class action, also in a San Francisco federal court, claiming it violated the law by abruptly laying off about 3,700 employees. And that's almost half of the company's workforce when Musk took over. So there's a lot that's going on here. He's talked about how they were given severance, there was enough of a package. But yes, I mean, there are people who would no longer want to work under the new regime that are also walking out voluntarily. What this will mean for Twitter, which are the different departments, perhaps where we've seen the maximum exits, some has been disclosed, some has not been disclosed. He has brought in, of course, a fairly legitimate person to head the company along with him. So, Musk, you can't really undermine Musk. He does usually always pull something out of his hat and has something, of course, to solve for at every stage. But currently, Twitter clearly in turmoil at this point of time. And he also said, at one point that it's been said about him that he's been putting through employees a lot of pain, a lot of uncertainty. Remember, the uncertainty began well before he took over, because there was no clarity on what would happen when he did. He also issued some kind of reassurance saying, no, I won't actually let people go. And within a couple of days, when he did finally take over, there was just mass layoffs.
Abha, stay on with me. I want to now bring in Ishwara. Ishwara, while we are constantly looking at this visual of a projection that's insulting the CEO, that only shows the level of perhaps anger there could be among employees to take such a decision. It can't be just one person putting out that projection. And what are you looking at perhaps in the manner in which it is being reflected in the business market? Because it's not just about Twitter. It's more about Musk and how his other businesses. There have been employees even in SpaceX who have taken to public to say that he's been giving out ultimatums off and on. The behavior is questionable. So this could be something that even Musk will want to do some damage control on, or do you think he's just going to go ahead and make all these controversial actions anyway?
Well, what Elon Musk will do, Pooja, is something that only Elon Musk can answer, because none of the people are able to understand. But as Abha was pointing out, we are seeing, there's a shift in the entire tech world. We are seeing how massive layoffs are taking place. But one thing which is sure is that the people want more clarity. I think it would be best for Elon Musk to sit down or to maybe have a town hall and talk with the employees exactly what's going on in his mind, because there is a lot of, people don't know. There is anxiety. And those who have been fired, they don't know what to do, and that is why we are seeing the kind of projections that are there on the building. Obviously, it is collective anger by the people in Twitter. All they want, Pooja, which I believe is a very fair ask. You and I also, we would also just want, the places where we work to give us a little bit of clarity, and that's exactly what Twitter employees at the moment are asking. They are just wanting to get some clarity. These abrupt decisions that Elon Musk is taking is impacting the lives of those people, and the anger can now be seen in the form of the projection. From the kind of images that are coming out now. Pooja.
Yes. Abba, how should we look at this? Is this just about Twitter, a social media, microblogging giant website? Of course, it's very important, but is it just about Twitter? Will it affect the industry beyond Twitter as well? How are you looking at the business aspect of it? Because Twitter obviously also has its share of amount that goes in, not just for the employees, but for the website and more. It's about what the world leaders are on to become accessible, to give out statements. So there are many layers to what's happening with Twitter.
Absolutely. It's a big question because at this stage, there is a slowdown coming when it comes to the US. We are seeing it in terms of the kind of stock performance. We're seeing it in terms of the layoffs that we're seeing across the board. So there are big concerns around some of these major companies. So first, you got to see it from the overall big tech angle. Then when we come to Twitter in particular, you're right. It's a huge cultural question as to what this is going to happen and the kind of influence it's going to happen. I think it's still early to tell. I think this move by these Democrats will be the first step towards trying to rein in Twitter, trying to rein in Musk. I mean, he's already been in a huge legal tangle with regards to the actual takeover itself. Now, of course, with this is the first time he's getting into regulatory hurdles with regards to Twitter. And it's barely just been a few days or a couple of weeks since he took over. So this just gives you an idea of what we're headed in for. But remember, Musk as a personality remains unfazed. Once he's kind of got something like a bull by the horns, he's just ready to kind of go at it. So I'm not sure he's going to give up so easily. He's taken this over. He wants to make a point with it. He wanted to take Twitter over for a reason. He's talked about free speech and making it democratic and returning Twitter to what it was originally meant to be. But then he's introduced all these new features which users are not necessarily going to like. So it's a complete conundrum at the moment. And of course, when it comes to culturally and the way that people have quit at this point of time, he said that going forward to build a breakthrough Twitter 2.0 and succeed in an increasingly competitive world, we need to be incredibly hardcore, talking about intense working hours, talking about a need to come back to the office and so on, which has not gone down very well.
Find very interesting, Abha, isn't it, that he was in a constant face-off that, I will buy Twitter, which he did. Days later, he says, I want to reduce my time, perhaps give the reins to someone else to manage, while keeping Twitter still as the CEO and still making a lot of controversial direct actions. Elon Musk, as a person, as the world's richest person, perhaps doesn't have much to worry about. But this is also something that the world is watching very carefully. This is also about political influence. This is about, as we are discussing, cultural influence. But this is what I find interesting, is how Elon Musk is willing to step away also and yet take all these direct action and decisions, which has even upset a lot of people. But he doesn't seem to really mind most of it, which I think is very interesting at this point.
I mean, he's he is always been a step ahead, in terms of how he's viewing things and how he's expecting things to roll out. So, he made a joke on Twitter when all these resignations were rolling in, saying that how do you make a small fortune on social media? Start out with a large one. So, talking about his fortune, we say it doesn't matter to him, but his net worth has actually gone down quite substantially post this takeover, as he's had to shell out quite a fair bit on his own. He's taken a lot of debt funding also for this. So, we may think it doesn't matter, but it's fairly substantial. And so it does matter. He does have to make this work. A lot was riding on this. It's a giant where, fine, if it fails, it's a blip on a billionaire's empire. But, if you compare it to somebody like a Warren Buffett, who's managed to keep his wealth at a steady 100 billion over these last 10 years, then you've got a better example of really how to manage that. Nobody wants these roller coasters. So let's see what he does. I think it's too early to tell. He's going to need a few quarters, but I think it's the way that he's going
happening
about it
in the market, in the industry, and specifically with the outage that has happened. This is people not able to access it properly. There appears to be any sort of malfunction, in the sense resources must be a constraint right now. When your top designers are leaving in anger, when your employees are putting out insulting projection, there has to be a control that has to come right away. Or perhaps, we're already witnessing angry messages and tweets by employees on Twitter who are not even hiding their identity. So this clearly shows that Twitter, can we say, is at the verge of a collapse unless it is saved just in time, Abha?
I don't think it's going to collapse just as yet. I think that's, well, I mean, we don't know, but I don't think it's going to collapse. Remember, Elon Musk has taken companies through the worst of their times and brought them back. You have to see what he's done with Tesla. So I think to write this off is a bit too soon. I think the regulators as well, the fact that they're trying to intervene is to try to course correct him or to tell him how to get in sync with what's required of a platform like this. And I think that that's the tussle right now in terms of employees. Let's see how well he does in trying to bring people back into the fold or bring a new set of people into the fold. It's a time of great churn in the tech industry. Do remember, like I was just saying, there have been huge amount of layoffs, so across the board. So in terms of restaffing Twitter, and also remember, while people may be required in certain departments, Musk has been going on about how he wants a lean outfit. So he's not necessarily looking to fill all those spots. It's more about the Twitter that he is now going ahead in building, and in what kind of services he rolls out, and the kind of messaging really he puts forth, both to his users and to regulators.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.